I'm Angie, and this is
Aislinn.
And we are back for another installment of the Food Hero Cooking Show.
Being a food hero is fun.
Cook, the first thing we need to start with is hand washing, so we're going to head to the sink. Alright, so you always want to make sure you're scrubbing well. That's probably the biggest food safety tip when you're hand washing, is making sure you're getting all areas, front, in between, back of your hands. This area is a place where people often miss, and then in your fingernails. Make sure you're scrubbing well. The way Aislinn checks to make sure she's washing well is she actually sings the alphabet song while she's washing. That lets her know that she has washed for at least 20 seconds. Gonna let you finish up. And I'm gonna be over here getting ready. So today we are making Food Hero beef and broccoli. This is one of the favorite recipes around our house. And what I love about it is it's actually something that you can put together really quickly. Today Aislinn's gonna be helping me, and I love to involve her whenever I can. And tip of the day, what's really nice about that is if you teach them when they're young, then when they get older, they can cook for you. So this dish is one that my two teenagers whip up for the whole family. This is a super easy recipe. What I have in here, I have ground beef. And I will say in this recipe, feel free to sub in whatever you have. We have lots of ground beef, and I like to use it. My dad actually raises cattle, so we get it from him. So this comes from Grandpa Ken. And so what I'm doing here is I'm browning the ground beef. Now the recipe on Food Hero calls for 3/4 a pound of ground beef. My ground beef comes in 1 pound packages. So I just throw the whole thing in. If you didn't want to do that, if yours comes in a 1 pound package, you could remove part of it. But I'm all about whatever's easiest and using what you have on hand. So I just throw in the whole entire pound of ground beef. And so we're getting that browned up. Now to the ground beef, we are going to want to add garlic and ginger. And the recipe calls for powdered garlic and ginger, and most of the time that is what I use. But sometimes when I have fresh on hand, I use that. It just depends. So it's very flexible. Powdered is perfectly fine, and this is the powdered ginger. Today I actually am going to use fresh ginger because I had just a tiny bit left. So I've peeled that ginger, and I'm going to use this handy tool to get it into the pan with the ground beef so that we can get all of that flavor coming out. And while I'm doing that, Aislinn's going to put in the garlic. Now this might not look like regular powdered garlic. I found black garlic at the store and it was on sale, so I bought that because I'm all about a bargain. Love bargains. So it calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder. And as you know, Aislinn, we don't have 3/4 of a teaspoon here. But how do we make 3/4 of a teaspoon? 1/2 plus 1/4. That is your math lesson for the day.
Being a food hero is fun.
I often use fresh garlic too. And I know a lot of people, I do cooking classes a lot, they prefer fresh garlic. Either one is fine. So today, it's easier to do this. Aislinn's going to measure that garlic in. And I will say too, if your family loves garlic, feel free to add more garlic. Oh.
And I have a joke about ground beef.
Okay, you tell the joke while I finish this up, big girl.
What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef.
Good one. She loves jokes. Oh.
And there's more jokes on foodhero.org.
That's true. You find this recipe on www.foodhero.org under recipes, but there's tons of other resources, and she's right. There's a kids page, and there's actually tons of jokes on there too. But I will say the jokes on the kids page have really helped improve your jokes. We were working on those for a while, weren't we?
How rude.
How rude. Look, you know your mama always tells the truth, my dear. All right, so we're going to finish browning this up. It's still got some pink there, so I got to finish that. But while I'm doing this, Aislinn, I'm going to have you get started on the sauce. Now, in our family, we really like the sauce, and we eat this over rice, so we double the sauce because we want to have some to soak into our rice. And probably part of it is too that we're using the pound of ground beef. So what I always say is, you know, if you're new to cooking or trying a recipe the first time, do it as is, and then feel free to make adjustments, because these are base recipes. The more you get in the kitchen, the more you're gonna just feel confident in adjusting things to your family's tastes and likes. All right, so Aislinn, let's get started here on
The sauce?
the sauce. Now, again, math lesson, we're gonna double things, okay? So this recipe is calling for 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. If we doubled it, then how many tablespoons would we have?
4.
Excellent. So remember, when we measure brown sugar, you're going to kind of press it into our tablespoon here. So what you're going to do, and you can actually use the side of this container, is just kind of press it against the side and put it in.
Veggies, fruits, and one-pot meals. The Popeye smoothies, pretty chill. Sunshine roll-ups have a...
Okay, so what's next on here is our soy sauce, and it calls for 1/4 cup, but we're doubling it.
Kale dip is a real big deal. Give 'em more of that good stuff. Recipes that kids...
A little salty.
Yep.
Salty.
What's next?
Okay, so next
Sesame oil.
is 2 teaspoons of the cornstarch. Okay?
Where's
And
it?
so we're doubling it. So what's 2 plus 2?
4.
4. So we're going to do 4 of the teaspoons.
Love. It's hard to get enough. Where healthy food is fun. Give 'em more of that good.
Then sesame oil.
Oh, sesame oil. And I kind of got that nutty aroma. So sesame oil is one where you don't need a ton, but it just adds like
This whole thing?
totally delicious flavor.
Stuff. Recipes that kids love. It's hard to
Go ahead, we have 1 cup of water because we doubled, because 1/2 plus 1/2 equals
1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1/4?
equals 1.
Oh, 1.
1.
That.
I think we need to go back to your math lesson, dear.
No.
What's your teacher gonna say?
I don't know. I don't remember.
We need our teachers. Okay, and now this has crushed red pepper flakes. I know you don't like a ton of crushed red pepper. So do we want to just do a little bit?
Yeah.
So instead of doubling that, we're going to keep it at 1/4. Okay, so here, you can just measure out 1/4. And her sisters like more spice, so they can add that on afterwards. Or you could even add some of your sauces, your chili sauces. Time to whisk, baby.
Yeah.
Whisk that up.
get enough. Where healthy food is fun.
My dad's beef is really lean, so there's not really much to drain, so we don't worry too much about it. If you're working with a ground beef that might have a higher fat content, you would want to go ahead and drain that before you added the sauce to this. And again, like I said, you could be working with ground turkey if you have that on hand. Just use what you have on hand. Ground chicken. I have a friend who's done this with tofu, and so she's made the sauce and cooked it with tofu, and she says it's great for her family.
What's tofu?
Tofu is made out of soybeans.
No.
So we're going to pour all this delicious sauce over here and turn it back up again just to get that simmering. The cornstarch is going to thicken it nicely, so we need to give that some time to thicken. Broccoli, you're going to find the recipe on foodhero.org and check out the recipe comments when you go there, because I have actually made this recipe a lot. And the other thing I found is this sauce recipe works really nice in the slow cooker. You know, one tip, if you want things to get up to temperature quicker, you put a lid on, because if heat can't escape, right, then it heats up quicker. So we'll let that kind of work on getting hot, simmering, and thickening. You can use fresh or frozen veggies with this recipe. Today I had a bag of frozen broccoli florets on hand, and so that's what I used, was frozen. I roasted these in the oven at 425 for 16 minutes ahead of time, but you can use any other vegetable too. You could use cauliflower, you can use bell peppers, whatever your favorite veggies are and that you would want in a stir fry, you can use those as well too, just what you have on hand. Carrots work nicely too. When we use frozen broccoli in it, and Avery's making it, what she does is she throws the frozen broccoli into the microwave for a few minutes, just to get it steamed a little bit, so that it doesn't have to cook as long here. She feels like it gets soggy. She likes it a little bit greener and crisper. So that's what I've done. I took some frozen broccoli and I threw it in the microwave for a couple minutes. And always cover it. I just use a plate because I don't like to use plastic. I'm trying to be environmentally friendly, so we just throw a plate on top. And see, that's still a nice, beautiful green color. And then we'll just throw that in here at the end. We're going to let it simmer a little longer. While that's continuing to simmer, I want to talk to you about your options as far as what to put this over. So the recipe calls for bulgur, which you can completely use. So bulgur is a wheat product. But the other thing you can use is rice. A lot of times I will just use minute brown rice. So I prefer whole grains. You know, whole grain is going to be better for you. It's going to have more fiber for your digestive system, which is going to be a better choice. Minute brown rice cooks much quicker. So there's instructions on the box that you would purchase. Cooking regular long grain brown rice is fine too. Sometimes if I do that, I do it ahead of time and then I put it in the fridge and heat it up because a lot of times we are just in a hurry and that takes about 45 minutes to an hour. But this cooks much quicker. You can cook this in about, well, if you do it in the microwave, it's about 7 minutes. This is black rice. So this is a whole grain too. It's also known as forbidden rice. So in China, it used to be in ancient times that the black rice was only for the emperor. And so that's why it was called the forbidden rice. What's cool about it nutrition-wise is the same things that color blueberries, the anthocyanins, that's what's coloring this rice. So you're getting a lot of healthy things and it's just fun. You could also use soba noodles, or a good stand-in for soba noodles is whole wheat spaghetti noodles. So that's another option as well. So I wish you could smell this because it smells absolutely delightful. And you see, because I doubled the sauce, we have plenty of sauce, but this gives us something to soak into the rice. So we can just turn it down now.
Healthy food is fun. Being a foodie is fun.
We used frozen broccoli today to get it to come together quickly, but fresh broccoli is great. And I was just talking to some of my farmer friends, and local broccoli is going to be ready soon. You want the black rice or do you want the brown rice?
Forbidden.
The forbidden rice. Okay. Check it out. Looks so good. So thank you for joining us today for another episode of the Food Hero. Oh, Aislin's trying to grab a fork. She's ready to rock and roll and try this out.
I thought we were going to eat a spoon.
For another episode of the Food Hero Cooking Show. We hope you got some valuable information and we'll see you next time.
Being a food hero is fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah.